the program. All right, on this session of the program, we'll get to be joined by, first of all, before I talk about who will get to be joined by, I did say earlier on the program, the heat wave. It's everywhere. You see people in the market, see people in the streets, even here in the office. People are complaining. It's hot. The weather is too hot. It's hot in the morning, hot in the afternoon, hot at night. What's going on? So we get to be joined by a professor of theoretical and applied climatology from the University of York, Professor Ekanam. Ekanam is our guest. He'll be joining us via e-video this morning to talk about the heat wave in the country. Good morning, Prof. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Matthew. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we hope we can see Prof, who is joining us via Zoom this morning. All right, Prof, it's too hot. What's going on? The weather, the climate.
Well, this is the season. This is what the dry season. So it's expected that it will be hot. I expected that it will be dry, but we have, in addition to being hot and dry, we have the heat wave that has been hitting us. In the morning, it is hot. In the night, afternoon, it's hot. In the night, it becomes worse. That is what we're having for now, and it is the belief that this year is an El Nino year, the year that we have a phenomenon that we call El Nino. It's a complex phenomenon that El Nino, it has a brother called the Southern Oscillation, another one called La Lina, which is the reverse of El Nino. They all have played various roles. Because this occurs in the Pacific Ocean, it originates there in December. The people there noticed it. In fact, the first people who noticed that phenomenon was the fishermen, because it disrupted their fishing. So that heat is being transported across the globe, and people have experienced different extreme weather events at different times. There are some people who have extreme cold weather now. There are people who have extreme hot weather now. So what we're having now is a heat wave. I have heard people say it is pollution, what have you. Well, people have the right to propound their own theory, but the truth of the matter is that this phenomenon occurs once. In fact, it has an 11-year cycle. It can happen between 2 and 11 years. It has that lifetime cycle. So we are experiencing an El Nino event that is disrupting and giving us excessive heat within this time period.
Okay. The NIMET, the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, says it's going to get hotter than this.
Yes, it's going to get hotter than this, but it will also come an end. We are anticipating that by end of March, we should be going down to normal situation in terms of the thermal characteristics. That's in terms of temperatures, and we should be getting better by March ending.
Okay.
It won't be forever.
Okay, by March ending. So, Kwaimun people, March ending, we just be optimistic that we will have a breath of some, coolness around us. Now, you mentioned the fishermen being the first to, discover this. It reminds me of a video I saw recently where some fishing ponds, we have their fishes being killed. Some people say it's as a result of the heat wave. Would you say that's true?
I wish I knew the conditions of the pond. The temperatures in the pond can kill fish.
Okay.
unless the water is hot, that the water becomes extremely hot. That's where fish, normally when that happens, fish migrate away. But in the pond, they don't have where to go to.
Yeah, they were ponds. They were mostly ponds.
Yes. Because like in the Peruvian experience we're talking about, the fish migrate out of the warm water so that they won't die. So it could be, heat could kill fish. I'm thinking that people should test the temperatures of the water that they are pouring into the pond for the fish.
Okay, all right. Perhaps that also tells us much about the increase in fish, the price of fish. People the fishermen keep saying the catch is low at the moment.
I don't have an idea of the fish farming.
Okay.
But I know that climate affects almost every other thing. And fish shouldn't be excluded.
Okay. Okay. All right, Prof. As a climatologist, talk to us. Give us some, advise us. What should we do? What should Nigerians, what should Akwa Ibom people do in times like this with the heat wave?
What we should do? But we owe ourselves those responsibilities of taking care of ourselves under this condition. One, we have to dress light.
Okay.
It's not advisable to be wearing layers of clothes, heavy clothes now, because you're retaining the heat within yourself. Now, we should stay mostly under shade. Don't expose yourself to the excessive direct heat of the nature of the environment. Now, and to keep the inside working perfectly well, we need to drink a lot of water. A lot of water to remain hydrated.
Okay.
And if you are likely to go outside, the best thing to do is either as a man use a hat, or if as a woman you use a scarf or an umbrella to take care of yourself.
Okay, Prof. Then away from what we can do, the farming period is fast approaching. Some people have already started farming. You may not be a farmer, but with regards to the climate, you have some word of advice to Akwa Ibom people this morning.
And yes, I would preferably tell farmers, please be sure of when to farm, because there's what we call the fall start. Once the rain begins to show, the first amount of rainfall comes in. When the first amount of rainfall comes in, farmers will rush into farm.
Yeah.
And that will be disaster, because most farmers will lose their crops there. We have to be sure of. I think NIMED will provide us the onset of the rain. They go for the onset of the rain and the situation. So during the onset, we will be able to say it's good to farm now. It's good to the soil. In fact, our traditional farmers know that they test the soil to see if the soil is wet enough to carry the crops, and how long can it stand, because the mistake had always been once the rain comes, they rush to plant, and the heat comes again and kills the crops, because that's not good enough. And there's what we call invisible drought. Invisible drought. If we have 20 mm of rainfall coming in, and the evapotranspiration is about 40, the soil is losing water. But in the physical, we think the rain has come, whereas that rainfall couldn't sustain the soil. So that's the mistake we make. In this our environment, invisible drought is very prominent. So we need knowledge of the surplus water available in the soil before we can tell farmers, please plant this and plant that.
Mm.
We work closely with agri people. This is where we give extension advice to extension agents to be able to give information to farmers.
Okay. All right. You had already said NIMET will let us know what to expect, but Prof, I want to believe you have some idea of what the climate will look like for this year. What should we expect? Heavy downpour.
Well,
Okay, Prof.
like I said, when we started, when we were about entering the dry season last year, I said we were going to have extensive heat this year. So we expect that by April things will normalize and the rains will begin to show, not in the quantity that it should be, but it's going to gradually build up into the rainy season. So there's no cause for alarm.
Okay. No cause for alarm. That kind of gives us some hope. Now, let's talk about the climate crisis worldwide. Can you give us, your perception? Give us an overview of the climate situation worldwide at the moment.
The climate situation, we were talking about climate change and the world global crisis.
That's right.
That what we expect is that there will be continuous change in climate. Climate has always changed, but it's the degree of change that is the most important thing. In our environment, where we are, like Akwa Ibom, we have to be very careful. We have to watch the indices because we're a coastal environment.
Okay.
One of the effects will be we have an advantage in that the ocean will sink a lot of the excessive heat that we would have had, and will sink a lot of the anthropogenic gases that would have caused the thing to escalate. So we have the advantage there. We also have the advantage, we have large bodies of the two major carbon sink. So we are supposed to be on the advantage when we're talking about climate change based on those two factors. But we also have some disadvantage in the fact, in the sense that as a coastal environment, if there is a sudden ocean rise, we will be affected tremendously. In fact, studies and calculations show that if there is a 1 mm or 120 mm of 20 meters of rise in the sea, we will lose up to Ikorobudo in a case underwater.
Wow.
So we hope that it won't go that way. But we also have to do things, planting trees and being conscious of our environment is what we ought to do as individuals. The world is experiencing this climate crisis, and we're hoping that changes in life patterns and use of energy, which is the major source of producing carbon dioxide, will gradually change.
Okay. Now, Prof, let's talk about the climate summit that was held last year in the United Arab Emirates, Dubai. In Dubai. Okay. Some agreements were reached. Can you talk to us?
Yes, I can. I was not there.
Yes, you were not there.
But I can tell you that there is, at least nations are now beginning to agree in the passing that we need to cut the excess anthropogenic gases. And that will mean that oil, the use of fuel, must drastically reduce.
Okay.
So we can go back to use natural energy. We are blessed with solar energy here. We are blessed with the other forms of energy to reduce carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. I think the world is beginning to see that it's not going to change by itself except we do something about it. The big countries, China, America, they are now beginning to agree in passing that they are beginning to agree in passing that we are ready to change.
Okay. Okay, I'm curious when you keep saying they are agreeing in passing.
Because the agreement has to be implemented.
Okay.
It's one thing to agree, it's another thing to implement. If you know too well that in the developing countries contribute only 2% of the total anthropogenic gases into the atmosphere, but the developing countries suffer more than the developed countries.
Okay.
So we're now trying to see how we can balance this up so that we can all benefit from the effects of what we're doing.
Okay. All right, Prof. You also mentioned, phasing out of fossil fuel as part of the agreement met. Do you think Nigeria is anywhere close to phasing out fossil fuel, unabated fossil fuel?
Well, whether we are close to it or not, once we have a structure and technology that is better, people will go for it. You know the price of fuel in Nigeria now. If we have solar cars, you just put a panel on top of your car and it drives you around. What people will go for it? Gas, even though it's still expensive in Nigeria, but we have a lot of it. So what I would think is that once the are cheaper, we will change. People are changing. I hear there's a gas solar car in Kaduna. I don't know how true that is. But in developed countries, solar cars are everywhere.
Okay, one other agreement is the need for governments to scale up efforts at mobilizing finance to support climate action. Can you add do you feel you need to add your voice? Does government do they need to add?
I have always been adding my voice, but you see, at this point in time, I'm interested in acquiring their voice.
Okay.
And that would be climate change data to know what will be our pattern, what will be the influence. But as we speak, we have not had enough. We don't have enough stations to gather information. So what I would advocate and ask the government to do is, at least in the 3 territorial districts, we should have a model weather station, which we don't have. I can say without fear of favor that in Akwa Ibom State, we don't have any modern weather station that can monitor and take records of weather and climate.
Okay, talk to us about the essence of the modern weather stations.
Yes, we're trying to build one in the University of Uyo, courtesy of the Oriental Energy, but it's a private thing that they've been gracious enough to give us a few instruments. We still need the automated instruments. We're still building the station to a standard that we can use it to do a whole lot of predictive studies. For instance, we could benefit a lot more from the blue economy if we have data to work on.
Okay.
Because we are very close to the coast. We have a longest coastline in this country, and so we could benefit a lot from it.
Okay. All right. Now that you've mentioned the blue economy, I think that's one sector that the state government usually mentions. Talking about investing in it. How viable is the blue economy, Prof?
Oh, it blue economy came when we were talking about green economy, and the ocean countries. It came in during the climate conference. The ocean countries realized they don't have what we are talking about. So that was the concept that originated the blue economy. Now, every country that has an ocean would benefit a lot more from blue economy. In fact, the oil we're talking about is part of blue economy.
Okay.
What we're saying is that if you know Akwa Ibom very well, you know that we are the richest reservoir of crayfish in this country.
Oh.
That's part of blue economy. Where climate dictates when you have this mass movement of aquatic animals. Like, you know that in August, September, we have the Nara something.
Yeah.
We don't have them now. Why don't we have them now? It's the climate that is predicting those things. So we could benefit a lot more if we invest a little more in knowing and studying these things we have as our natural resources.
Okay. Okay, Prof. As we begin to wind down, on our conversation this morning, again, let's get back to the heat wave, especially for the benefit of people who may not have joined us when you talked about it. Can you give us a summary? In summary, why are we experiencing so much heat, and then what can we do in times like this?
Why we are experiencing so much heat is that the El Niño phenomenon has hit us this year. It's not a regular occurrence, but it was one in a while. Mostly within 11 years, it has an 11-year cycle on the average. And that is why we are having the extreme heat wave we are having. It's not something that will not go away. If COVID left, heat wave will also leave. So what we need to do is take care of ourselves, drink a lot of water, stay under the shade, and dress appropriately for the weather.
Okay. You had also advised farmers. Can you give farmers a recap?
Farmers should be able to watch the weather before they rush into farming. They rush into planting crops. That's what I mean.
Okay.
We have to prepare the ground now, but the real actual planting, we must be able to be sure that the soil water will sustain the crops to grow before you go into it. So that we will not have, there's what we call false start. We say false start of the rain. The first rain comes in and everybody runs the rain and started. It may be a false start. You have to wait. That's why I'm saying that it's NIMET that will give us, they normally predict that every year. So NIMET will soon give us the indices and the timing to follow.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ekanem. Thank you so very much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us this morning, telling us what to do and what to look out for and all of that. We do appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, Professor Ekanem is a professor of theoretical and applied climatology. He is of the University of Uyo. Thank you so very much. Some take-home points there is that the heat wave is here. Sometime in March, it will subside. But then, as we go about our affairs daily, there's need to check what you wear, drink lots of water, avoid the sun. If you have to go through this under the sun, use some shade. You could use a hat cover up. Use the sunglasses, like the medical professionals will always say, use sunglasses. protect yourselves. For the farmers, should it rain, do not rush to go to and start planting, because the heat underneath the ground might kill your crops. You need to wait, observe the soil, see if the rains will come again and again before you get to plant. Again, want to say thank you so very much to Professor Ekanem for sharing his wealth of knowledge with us this morning on Centerpoint AM 45. That's it for this session. We'll take a quick break and we have more for you on the program. To stay.